Hey, Del Jackson, we got a special Zoom tonight. Been a while, but we're back. We're back. We're starting to type in some schedules and starting to do a little pregame, some figuring out what's coming up next and all that good stuff. As of now, it looks like everything's rolling. So I've talked to the coaches. I've talked to some ADs. It looks like we got full schedules as of now. Of course, that could change on a drop of a dime as far as a game getting canceled or things like that. But tonight we got Columbia's coach, Kerry Glover, and he's a big follower, and he helps us a lot with a Twitter. I know when we do a game with Columbia, we get special following. So the Tide fans are rolling. They're still there, man. They never seem to go away. So Coach Glover, we'll go with you and just give us a little bit of a background of what you're doing now. Your coaching background. I know you've been at Columbia. I think this is your fourth year coming up, or is it the fifth?
Fifth, my fifth year.
Fifth year. We have 4 years in the book. Okay, we'll turn it over to you. Give us a little background.
Just turned 37 this past Sunday. 37 years old, man. I'm just happy to be here, man. Been coaching for a while now. Started coaching actually when I was in 11th grade over in York in the Vonnie Grimes gym, inner city youth league. And from there, just kind of fell in love with it deeper and deeper, man. Started doing some AAU back in about 2001, 2002. Then from there, was able to get on York High's junior high staff. And I was there for a few years, went from there to Redland for one season as a JV coach at Redland. And then that following year was my first year as a varsity boys coach at Columbia.
Very cool. So you were at Redland for a while. I played when I was younger. I played up in that area. What differences do you notice between that area with Redland and the Mid-Penn and the LL? Did you notice any differences or everything about the same? I mean, it's a different, you're different type of players at Redland than you have at Columbia. That's for sure.
Definitely. For me, the biggest difference was numbers, of course. Redland, I mean, like I said, I was there for a year, and the amount of kids that we had, that we turned away from the program, just having to do cuts, was probably twice as many kids that come out for tryouts at Columbia. So that was big for me. And before that, being from York and coaching at York High, of course, your numbers are always tremendous. So that was the biggest difference for me. As far as playing wise, officiating, the Mid-Penn was different. Referees, they let you play a little bit more, little rougher, a little more rugged, I should say, as opposed to when I came over to the LL League.
I want to ask one more question. Then I'll turn it over to Andy. You do a lot of AAU work, so
yes.
You get to see a lot of different kids, a lot of different players from our area, from the York area. Has the world kind of come together in basketball, especially with AAU and the Nook, or is there still kind of a little here and a little there type of thing going
on? For me, I'll say it kind of comes together. Especially being at the Nook, being at the Nook the last couple of years, was fortunate to just build on top of what we built in York as the York Raiders, coming over and transitioning to the Spooky Nook Raiders, and having coaches from all different leagues, Mid-Penn, York Adams League, LL League, and then the players, and seeing the officials year round was a big difference. It was a huge difference, and then it kind of eased things for myself during the school season, because you start to get a better understanding of how guys officiate games, and you say, all right, sometimes you might walk into an environment as a guest and you're like, we from the LL League, we're not going to get a fair shake, and you start to see it's like, oh well, he's consistent. This is how he reps everywhere. Mm-hmm. And you start, and you just build that mutual respect for one another. And then the coaches the referees understand how I coach, and they see there's no difference from school season to AAU. So you know, it was a little bit of give and take on both sides, but I definitely like it.
Nice, nice. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Andy here, and maybe we'll get some specific questions. And even with you talking, I have more questions. So, you know, we have a half an hour, but we go on and on and on. And
Yeah.
Andy's got some cool swag tonight too. Go ahead,
I
Andy.
see, man. He's sharp.
Coach, good to see you. And obviously, I apologize in advance. You already touched on it, but I saw on Facebook the other day it was your birthday. So apologies for the belated B-Day, but happy
I appreciate
birthday.
it.
I'll jump right into it with you. When I saw you guys in the state game down at South Philly, and we're standing down there in the basement, which, by the way, thankfully you finally made it home, which that's an inside joke that only we're there. But
yeah.
When we were standing down there, you said something that really kind of took me back. You basically said, our off season has been okay. Like, we've been playing games and stuff like that. But in order for us to take that next step, the off season is really where we're going to have to make our hay. And these guys are going to have to realize that that's where the difference is going to be. It's not going to be in the one game come, you know, the middle of March or February for districts or whatever. That's where we're going to have to make the biggest jump. So short of the cliche answers of how, you know, the offseason has kind of thrown everything out of whack, is there any sort of validity to the fact that if these guys really want to get this done and make that next jump, with how weird the offseason has been, it's going to put the onus on them where things aren't as smooth as it used to be. You don't get the automatic Nook schedule and you're going to play 8 games or whatever. They're going to have to take this on themselves if they want to take this next jump, because you can't always be there. It's, I guess, the law. So
yeah. I think for my guys, this past summer they were fortunate to play in the outdoor summer league. Believe it or not, over in Columbia at Mako Park, and you had it was a good mixture of teams. You had just some like a few local AAU programs. Excuse me. You had a couple high schools, smaller schools like 3A, and single A, all the way up to 5A, 6A programs. Had some of their players participating, you know, just as, you know, a collective group of kids, just sticking together and playing a little bit of ball over the summertime. And I was able to sit back and just watch my guys compete and grow up. And I think that was huge, because you never really get the push that we got this past summer. And believe it or not, with everything that was taking place with COVID and everything, it was a different feel. You know, the focus was sharper. The guys took it more serious. They competed hard, and it was, you know, street ball, a little rough and rugged. It wasn't the Nook Fall League, which is, you know, a good league. But for us, that's still a safe haven. We might get challenged 1 or 2 times, and then outside of that, you know, it's hit or miss, because kids are different, you know, different summer activities and vacation and things like that. So you never really get the full feeling of the teams that you're facing, because they may not be at full strength, just like we may not be at full strength. The summer league, everybody was there and they were competing. They took some, you know, some bumps and bruises, and they ended up making it and lost the championship in overtime off a half court buzzer beater. So just seeing them guys compete and things like that, for me, that was huge, because I was just able to sit back in the lawn chair underneath the trees, sit in the shade, and just watch these guys play hard, and they didn't have to hear anything coming from me. So it was like, okay, now we got to rely on what coach has been teaching us, but also what we know how to do. And I tell my guys all the time, I can give you X's and O's. I can whip you from out of shape to getting in perfect tip top shape in a week and a half tops. But competing, the competitive nature, that fiery spirit, that heart, I can't teach that. You either have it or you don't. And you know, some of them little, they seesaw in and out. But this past summer, everybody was on the same page and they competed hard.
I'm gonna need that workout plan to get back in shape for a week because I've been playing.
I got you, man.
I do a few minutes of full blast, but we'll get over there with you.
Yeah.
Something else I wanted to ask you about. This kind of touches on your intro statement of your roots and everywhere you've been, really. Mid-Penn experience here and there with Redland, but you're a York guy, and you've had some to the Columbia area even before you took the job. So being in the cauldron of Central PA basketball and with this offseason where you've had to essentially stop and take a breath, what are your thoughts few years into the Columbia job? I mean, is it harder than you expect? About what you thought? I mean, just what are your general thoughts compared to what you thought you were getting into when you took the first interview?
I honestly, I enjoy it. I knew numbers weren't going to be strong, but I also knew that the pride that a small town like Columbia has, especially with the history and the tradition behind it, was something that could help not just my players but myself rise to the occasion. I know a lot of times, they talk about the small town, small close-knit group and the pride and things like that. But when you don't win and you don't have that tradition or that history behind it, it's for me it kind of cancels itself out. I mean, because if you're not winning, the upcoming kids in the program, they're not going to be as invested into the program. So I think that the last couple of years, us just getting back on the track and being able to be good consistently is huge. I think that's been huge. And the town, whether win or lose, the town has never turned their backs on the program. They've never stopped coming out. The gym is always packed. Doesn't matter who we're playing, whether it's Trinity or Lancaster Mennonite or Lancaster Catholic or a team that we just played for the first time this past season. The gym is packed. The town supports, the school district supports, and for me that was huge. Just having that backing and that stability is honestly that's everything that I was looking for.
Hey, let me jump in on that one, Andy. I mean,
okay.
The gym was packed. Was is the key word there. 20% of capacity. I mean, how many people are going to stick into that Columbia gym? Is it 20%? I mean, has anybody done the numbers yet at Columbia?
Oh man, that's actually a question that I've been asking myself the last couple of weeks. I've been trying to figure it out. I honestly have no idea, man.
You can pump in crowd noise like they do at the NCAA football games. How about put it over the PA system? Crowd noise.
Right on top of the court. So I mean, we still hopefully we can still get a little bit of that home court advantage, that feeling when you walk up, when we come up in our gym. So hopefully, it works out in our favor.
But you know what's going to happen, Coach? With hardly anybody there, everybody's going to hear you exactly what you say, and they're going to be going like this when you have a little huddle and say, well, what's he saying? What's he saying?
Yeah. I think that's honestly, man, I think that's already happening. So I'm all for it,
man. All right, Andy, I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself.
No, you're good. You actually, right there in your answer, or when I was asking you a question, you basically answered, well, you got into what I wanted to ask you next. And that is, I don't think you guys get enough respect for the out-of-conference schedule you guys line up against. I mean, you're not afraid to duck Trinity when Chance is there, even when he's not.
right.
Big boys that are in your woods. And I guess you could probably make an argument that with some of the non-con games you play, it might actually be easier for you guys to play Section 5. So what I'm driving at is, in a perfect world where schools aren't afraid of Columbia and their small size and how that affects them mathematically, who would you want to have a home and home with, or even a one-game series with? Again, if mathematics and power rankings didn't exist, who would you want?
Oh man, that's a tough question, man. I would honestly,
I vote for series.
Go ahead, say it again.
I want McCaskey. Let's make that happen. I'll talk
Oh,
to
good.
Freddie.
Yeah, that's a
You
good
want
one.
McCaskey?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I would take anybody who I'll say this. I would take any team that the P thinks is an automatic disadvantage for us. I would take anybody. Anybody who, they just completely count us out against, that's who I want. If they say, it's going to be a dogfight, I don't want a dogfight. They say, Columbia probably will beat them. I don't want the probably. I want Columbia don't have a shot. They have no chance. They shouldn't be on the same floor with those guys. That's who I want.
Okay. I'll send a note to IMG. I'll get on that. I'll get on that.
Send them on, man.
Dell, I'll throw it back to you.
Oh man, I Columbia is such a special place, and it has, as you said, it has some history, but it also has some ups and downs. I mean,
right.
Sometimes, at least looking from afar, that it seems like sometimes you have problems keeping your kids on the court. Has that been an issue with you in your tenure?
My second year. My second year. I actually think my second season at Columbia probably should have been my best. I think that was a year where I think that year I think that was the group that I feel as though it was the most well-rounded, the most competitive, and honestly, from a physical standpoint, that was the most well-balanced and most physically developed team. They were senior heavy, but I had a lot of kids that were, physically mature. And I think that was the year for us to be able to get. I had plans that season to get to Hershey. I had plans to get to the district championship game that season. Outside of that year, I've had kids that been committed to the process on and off the court, and I haven't had too many issues. But that second year, I lost about the eighth or ninth game of the season. I lost, I would say, two guys that were honestly probably 80% of my offense and defense. And again, not a lot of numbers. It has to be, you can preach the next man up, but when you lose two pieces that are that valuable, it's hard to replace.
Yeah. I coached at Donegal for a while, and numbers were always an issue. So at Columbia, how do you work with your numbers, with your JVs and your varsity? Obviously, you guys are practicing together, I'm assuming. And I saw you last year. You had some kids that go both ways. I mean, I saw kids play in a JV game. I saw them play in the varsity game, and they weren't starters, but obviously you needed some pieces to fill in. How do you work that as a coach when you do a practice schedule?
Well, I normally like everything that I do defensively is what I have our JV program do. Offensively, really honestly slim to none. Maybe some key quick hitters and things like that. Press break is always the same, but our main offense is something that I always leave that to my JV coach, Elijah Cooper. I let him do his thing with the JV guys because I want him to have something that fits his personnel. It's kind of a smooth transition because we practice together pretty much every single day, and then maybe 15-20 minutes JV may break off, and then they may go do their game prep, and then they'll come back, and then they'll be scout team for us. So I mean, it kind of works itself out.
Okay. The other question I had when you were talking about working at the Nook and seeing different teams and different coaches, when I used to do camps and things, I was always curious to sit down with another coach and say, okay, how do you do that? Now, you're seeing a lot of different things. Is it hard to not look at somebody else and say, oh, I want to do that? Or is it just like, this is my system and maybe I can borrow something from this guy over here? How does that work when you have so much exposure to different players and coaches and different ideas?
Yeah. Well, honestly, for me, I never really look at it like that. Honestly, I more so watch the kids, and seeing, because again, a lot of the kids that play for different schools, if they're not a part of my AAU program, I might have worked out with them, I might have trained them. So I'm just kind of looking at the players and figuring out, okay, what works for them, what could they be doing a little bit differently to be more effective, and helping those guys out when I come across, have a conversation with them, things like that. From a coach's standpoint, I really don't look at much that they do in the off season. Honestly, because for myself, I don't know if it'll work. I have a totally different culture and a group of kids who they're just different. Like every year, I'm going into my 5th year, and every year my offense has been different. Um, just because of the players that I have. Like Columbia has always been, I always say it's that middle ground, that transition town. You get kids coming from over in York area, and they, for whatever reason, seem to stop through in Columbia for a year or two. If you're lucky, you might get them for 3. And then next thing you know, they're over in a school in Lancaster somewhere. So and then you have your homebred kids who, born and raised, and they're Tide faithfuls. They're not going anywhere. So you have those kids, but they're all pretty much just cut from the same cloth. A lot of guards, not too many bigs. So you're really working with the same type of kid. So I just take a look at it. I just look at it that way. And one thing that I do that I do a lot is Coach Kirk Smallwood from Harrisburg. That's somebody who I just pick his brain, and it's more so not about what he runs and things, because I know he's dealing with a totally different type of athlete and player at Harrisburg than I had at Columbia, but just to have the fire still lit and the passion still there behind it after so many years. That's the type of things that I look for now. Last year, of course, we all know, dealing my accident and things like that. It was different, and I never lost the passion, but my fire wasn't the same because physically, I couldn't keep up. So picking his brain and guys like that was something that was huge for me.
Yeah, that's that's a pretty good role model, coach. I swear. I mean,
Yeah.
he's been through it and seen it all, and in many ways. I mean, I don't even know if you know, but he coached at CD East before he was at Harrisburg. Did you know that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna throw it back to Andy. Andy, we're getting close to the time here, so I know you've got some special questions at the end. You always throw a curveball at somebody.
No, I don't know if I really have one tonight. Maybe I'll figure one on the fly. But
Okay.
I did want to ask just initial thoughts about Section 5, if God get the season off the ground, which hopefully we do. But I've said this before. I think Section 5 is, this year at least, is going to be the one section that is outside of the Section 1, Section 2 big boy sections that really should have everyone's attention, because pretty much everybody in your division brings back at least one dude. I mean, you got Devin at PV, you have 2 to 3 on your own team. Every time I pull up Twitter, Cole Fisher has 20 every weekend. I mean, I can just keep going. Lance Lennon. I mean, what's your thoughts on Section 5? Because first of all, it's not going to get the respect I think it deserves this year. But I mean, what are your thoughts in playing that section? I think it's a lot more competitive, and it actually, I think, will benefit you come playoff time this year, which is something you can't always say on a quote unquote normal year.
Right. I think our section is highly competitive for sure. There's some special players in our section, and for me, honestly, like even just hearing you talk about it gets me like I got goosebumps right now. Just hearing you talk about it, because of course That's the section that I'm a part of, and I wanted to be represented very well. And I just don't think that Section 5 gets the respect that it deserves. I think this year, I think Section 5 is going to turn a lot of heads. Hopefully, things pan out, and we're able to have full season and league tournament, things like that. Because I think Section 5 has an opportunity to make some noise in the league tournament.
I agree. Boss, you got anything?
Well, I got lots of stuff, but it's like, how much time do we have? How much time do we have? Okay, Coach, talk about your recovery from your accident, where you're at mentally. I mean, how that people just can't relate to what you went through. So just if you can share some of your thoughts about how you progressed and where you are now in your recoveries.
My recovery it's been going very well. So I, of course, had my ups and downs with it. Just not being able to move around and be as energetic as I normally would be. And just the smallest things would have me exhausted. Last season was different for me. So kind of gift and a curse with the spring and the summertime being slowed down due to COVID, but I was able to really take some time to myself. Because honestly, I probably shouldn't have coached last year, especially not until at least halfway through the season. I was in so much pain, and getting back up every morning and going to therapy. At that point I was still doing therapy 3 times a week. And just kind of going against what my doctor's orders were, but I love my guys. I love the game of basketball, and for me, that was one of my lifelines. So I just had to be around it, and I still remember like yesterday, the first time I was able to go up to the school and walk into the gym, and for the guys to see me after the accident was something for me that was huge. So from that moment, made me say, I have to be there for these guys this year. So I mean that was big. I'm much better now. I'm back to work full time now for about a month and a half. About a month and a half to close to 2 months now. I've been back to work full time. I still have my moments. Still have my moments where I move a little too fast, or I twist a certain way. It gets back to me. So I still have my lidocaine patches and things like that I still need to use, heating pad and stuff. But I've been saving energy up, man. I'm just ready for the season to get here. Kind of took a scale back off of social media and things like that for the past month or so, and I just wanted to just get my body right and my mind right, and just focus on work, my family, and getting prepared for the season. So I'm ready. I'm ready to go now.
Nice. Hey, I just thought of something else. And Andy was over here last night. We were talking a little bit about some live streams. So when we did one of your live stream games, usually when we have the big boy games, I can tell what our numbers are going to be. But I swear, when we did Columbia, you guys almost beat all the big boys. So the following is there. The Roll Tide, and you have a lot to do with that. I mean, you truly do. You're an ambassador to the sport, in many ways, because you deal with many kids, and not only Columbia kids, but it's a Columbia thing, and it's cool to see. I mean, you have a lot of respect from people that I talk to, for whatever that's worth. But I know that we can always talk to you after a game. And it's always nice to interview you if we have a live stream game and you win too. I mean, that's always fun.
Right. That's right. I appreciate that a lot, man. I really do.
Did you get your LO Hoops mask?
I did not.
Oh no. I sent it to the school. Have you been to the school?
Only on Saturdays.
Right,
so that's probably why.
Check your mailbox.
I will.
It's there. And if it's not there, you DM me and I'll make sure that you get one. U.S. mail, They're a little busy right now. The U.S. mail guys are a little busy right now. But
yes, they are.
Yes, they are. 3rd.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
All right, Andy, what do we got to wrap with? We got about 5 minutes.
I don't know. I mean, you guys kind of punctuated everything very well. I think we're all ready for this season, and I hope we get there. And to Dell's earlier point, Coach, I think you've really helped Columbia get outside of Columbia, if that makes any sense. Like, the town itself is always going to be there. They'll come hell or high water. They'll go wherever you guys go. But I think outside of the program, you've really, or outside of the town, I guess I should say, you've really illuminated and shown a light on the program that I don't know if a lot of people necessarily were aware of. And because you guys can play, and I think that's a testament to the type of program that you've been building there, and hopefully it stays, because Columbia, when Columbia is good, the LL is much, much, much better for it. And I would say District 3 is as well, because you have all those banners hanging in the rafters. I mean, some of them might be they might have some cobwebs on them, but hopefully we'll get some new ones there in the near future. So, I mean, I don't have much else to say. You got a fan and a friend in me, and like I said, hopefully we'll see you out in the trail this year. That's what we're all hoping for, and me included. So,
hey, Coach, Andy's trying to make up our live stream schedule, so maybe you gotta slip him some more gear or something to get you on.
I know, man. I know. Yeah, I'm gonna get working on that first thing tomorrow morning, man.
Okay. Hey, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a while since we've been on the Zoom, and I know, again, I thank you. I can always get a score from you, regardless of whether you guys win or lose, and a little back and forth. And it's like, yeah, maybe tomorrow will be better, or it was a good game. So thank you, and keep doing whatever the doctors say, because we want you around in the LL for a long, long, long time.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you guys, man. I appreciate everything you guys do for our kids, man. Not just Columbia, but the whole LL League. I really appreciate that. You guys, keep it up.
All right, thanks.
thank you, brother.
Good night.
All right, see you.
Good night. Thank you.
Peace.